Well, good morning and welcome back to our YouTube channel, Soaring Together. We are still in Crossville, Tennessee at the East Coast HDT Truck Rally. And in today's video, we're going to talk with one of the HDT owners who built his own bed. And then he and his wife held the seminar today. So we're going to show you some of the seminar, and they'll explain to you how they built their bed. So after the intro, we'll be on to the video. We are Rickey and Denise. We sold everything in 2020 and hit the road to RV full time. We travel in our Freightliner M2 truck, pulling our DRV JX 450 full house that hauls our 2020 Harley Tri-Glide. We invite you to travel along with us as we are soaring together.
You've done something here that I've never seen.
And I wouldn't do it again.
You wouldn't?
No, the reason I did that is because I was too tight to buy longer ramps. I bought our ramps on sale.
Okay.
And when you buy shorter ramps, you run into an issue with the breakover angle.
I got you.
So I decided I'm just going to lower the car to get the breakover angle lower. But when you do that, you still have the breakover angle at the edge of the bed.
Right.
So
that doesn't change.
It makes it worse.
Right.
So on the other side, there are extensions that slide out. So my breakover point is now broken into two breakover points, each one a little bit less.
One here and then, okay.
Yeah. So then I put the ramps on that. But I went to a lot of extra trouble and a little bit of extra expense just because I was too tight to buy the right ramps.
I think me and you get along pretty good.
You wouldn't believe how much. You wouldn't believe how much in this bed build is actually things that were scrap laying around our shop that I've repurposed or reused. For instance, the hangers for the fairings there, those are old muffler clamps that I've wire wheeled and painted up, and it works.
Well, that's the whole thing about anything. It's taking what you got and using it.
Yeah. Well, why would you spend $3 on muffler clamps when you can spend an hour cleaning them up and painting?
Yeah. Well, my kids tell me now, well, you retired, you ain't got nothing else to do anyway, so what difference does it make, you know?
Well, it was fun. Yeah, I'd been retired for 3 years when I started this project and forgot how rusty I was. So it got my brain working again, and there's a lot of things that.
So what would you do different if you could?
Well, first off, I'd buy longer ramps and I wouldn't have to put those channels in. But those channels are the only cross members in the whole truck. There's no cross members under that bed. Because I don't need cross members, because there's never going to be any weight on the deck other than walking across it. There's plenty strong for that. Right. It's all 3/16 steel. And all made in pieces so that you can take it apart to work on whatever needs maintenance underneath.
Right. That covers over your room, so you can get.
Yep, there's only two bolts holding that cover on the back. That slips out. It slips into pockets in the back, so there's no bolts at the back. But yeah, it was fun.
And you have the ET hitch also.
Yes, that in my presentation, that cost of that ET hitch is not included because, well, I don't know what kind of hitch people are going to want. We bought the ET because it wasn't that much more expensive than the competition, and if we ever decide to go to a bigger trailer or heavier trailer, which we probably will, I want to be ready for it. This trailer weighs 21,000 loaded, and we're typically close to that when the motorcycles are in the back. But you know, someday we're going to decide we're too old for motorcycles, and
well, you can do like we did, get your trike.
Yeah, we traded two for a trike.
I know, I was one of them guys too, but I changed my mind.
Well, she has a Spider.
Okay.
Which is a hoot, and I've got a Moto Guzzi.
Okay.
And they fit nicely in the back. But you know, someday we're going to decide we need more living space and less garage.
So what KW got in it?
It's a PACCAR engine, the 13-liter
MX-13.
MX-13. It's a 2018, so it's new enough not to have all the issues. I was told by the man who, on the forum, who knows all about Kenworths, he said, if you're going to buy a Kenworth, don't be afraid of the MX-13 if it's 2017 or newer.
Okay.
He says, don't get one older than that because they have horrible emissions equipment issues. I don't want that. I want to keep it simple, but it's got 500,000 miles on it. So I'm real happy with it so far. Manual transmission, 13 speed.
How many horsepower?
4 1/4.
Okay.
It's a little down on power. Had a 500 horse ISX in the previous truck, and you can tell.
What do you have you have prior to?
We had a Volvo with a ISX 500 and an auto shift.
Okay.
And it was a good truck, but it was an 01 and it had more miles on it, and it was noisier and bumpier. And my wife says, you know what? You've been looking at trucks ever since we bought this. You never stop looking at trucks. Let's just go ahead and bite the bullet.
That's just part of it, eh?
Well, yeah. But I don't have a whole lot in that bed. It's a little over $8,000 total, not counting the hitch. It's all sandblasted, epoxy primed and painted underneath. All that was done with, everything was turned over upside down and inside out. So I wanted to do it right. I didn't do it fancy. I just wanted to make it so we'll never have to build another one.
And you've left the back axle. Some take off one axle.
Yeah, since we're not full-time and I don't need the extra space, so many people want to remove one axle and turn that into either water tanks for hauling gray water out and fresh water in or whatever, or extra toolboxes or whatever. And I don't need all that. So I bought off the rack toolboxes and made it all work.
Yeah, but you're better off because if you get stuck somewhere, you throw the power divider in. It's got a live axle on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you throw the power divider in and walk away.
And I didn't know it when we didn't even know you could get it until we bought this truck. But there's a switch in the cab where you can it's not just a power divider. You can lock those axles solid.
Traction control.
So that all 4 wheels pull. You won't have 1 or 2 spinning.
Right.
Because even with a power divider, you can still have 2 wheels, 1 front and 1 rear spinning. Not with this truck.
See, mine's got a traction control and 2 power dividers.
Yeah.
They'll lock up the back axle, the front axle, and a traction control, which applies brakes to one wheel that will still spin.
That's what this has got.
Yeah.
But anyway, we talked to him about the bed build, and he told us that you helped.
I absolutely did.
So, and
I'm not very mechanical or whatever. You know, he was the brains of the operation, but I can follow directions really well.
and the way he talked, you were more than just a gopher, I call it.
Oh, absolutely.
You didn't just go for stuff for him. You actually helped design some of it.
Yeah.
Well, that's
and I
cool.
did a lot of drilling and a lot of grinding. It was a good experience.
Well, that's cool.
I mean, it wasn't all good, but
You all have a pretty rig.
well, thank you.
Very pretty rig.
I could have done that all on the screen in a couple of minutes, but I did it with a pencil and a scissors. So, May 18th, the ET hitch arrived. So we're already 2 months into the project before that piece could come together. Don't remember the date on that, but there's the hitch installed. I had to buy a piece of 5/8 thick steel there to go on each side to take up the space between the frame and the angle supplied by ET. So I had to, and I did not use the original ET mounting bolts. There's only 1 bolt on each side lined up. So I had to drill that hole, and that hole through 1.25 inches. Did not have a mag drill. Second thing I should have bought. So we built the tire channels. I had these individual pieces of steel bent at a local fab shop, brought them home, welded together. That brother-in-law there was welding the channels together in there. There's a picture of the 1 tire channel, how it's mounted. Those angles are welded to the channel. Then there's 4 bolts total, 2 on each side, that bolt that to the frame. So that each tire channel is bolted in that manner, so they're not going to blow off. Right there, these ramps, these are big boy ramps. These are only 10 foot. I'm too tight to buy 12 footers. So that lip right there engages in the slide out tray so that it can't come out. I don't need pins, I don't need bolts, I don't need any of that to keep my ramps in place and in perfect alignment. So that was one of the driving forces of the design. So first load.
I don't get any respect.
One shot and she was on. I mean, it worked perfectly. You can see, since we didn't have our nylon buttons or whatever, I had to throw some pieces of plywood on her to get her to make the little jump up over there. We don't have to do that anymore. While I got this shot up, I'll point out these rails that the car sits in are my only cross members. There's no other cross members under that bed. So to lay out the taillights, I rummaged around and found washers, marked where I wanted the lights, drilled a small hole that I could drop a bolt in to bolt through that, and then use that other washer as my guide to cut them out. Well, because I cut them out with a plasma cutter, my kerf was too wide because I was too tight to go buy new tips for the plasma cutter. So just go ahead and spend the money on new tips. So the jackalope, we had a jackalope on the old truck. It worked great. So when she saw the first one on the old truck, she read the direction and she said, "Well, I could do that." "Yes, you can." So she did. And when we were all done, we hit it with a fluid film on all the connectors. That'll keep corrosion away. Notice the cords are draped so the water cannot run into the jackalope. I mounted my jackalope on the back of the cab. Reason being, you can stand at the back of the truck. All those diagnostic functions are in LEDs over here on the right-hand side. So if anything's working, you can tell it while you're back at the hitch testing your plugs. So a lot of people mount them up somewhere in the cab, in the cargo compartment. That's great, but you lose the diagnostic function that way.
If you look closely at the jackalope when you go out and look at the truck, it's not perfect. I think the day after I got that done, he showed me a picture that Henry had put on the forum, I guess, and he said exactly how long to cut each color of wire. Well, I didn't know that. I just had to make it look and go, "Yep, that looks good," and cut it. His looks a lot better than mine.
It does. I'm not going to complain. It's great. So we finally had everything hooked up and working after 13 months.
I follow y'all on YouTube.
You follow us, our crazy YouTube channel.
Yeah.
We're glad to meet you.
I seen y'all go by earlier and I said, told the wife, I said, that's Rickey and Denise.
Great New Horizons.
Okay.
Soaring,
Yeah, okay.
So where's your rig?
That little white Ford down with the Montana.
Well, you're okay. You got the little puppy like we do.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm like Rickey though, it ain't got enough horsepower.
Okay.
You're
But
in a
I've been
space that you like.
following
and
it.
if you come
The
next year, you
Hutches
can say, I
and
want to be in
Kansas
this space.
and
And then you can say, tell me which spaces will be open if you want to move.
The
So I told
other
him, I said, if he moves down
West
here,
Coast Rally.
where he's now homesteaded, the next year
With
he's
y'all
in
and
space.
That's
Sweet
kinda
Travels,
Yeah.
Tips in Marlin,
Yeah.
Jones,
Watts on wheels.
What's on Wheels.
If you were in that site, it's a
Well, we hope that this video may have answered some questions for you if you're planning to build a bed for your HDT truck, or if you're interested in coming to the rallies. There is this East Coast Rally is every year in April in Crossville, Tennessee. They have a West Coast Rally that's in Idaho, in June of every year. And then in October is the National Heavy Duty Truck Rally in Kansas. So you can check those out on the internet, and I'll give you a website for the hdtrally.com. I'll give that information below. So we just want to thank you for viewing our channel. And if you haven't done so, please like and subscribe so you won't miss Rickey and I as we are soaring together.